أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا عاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وأفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد. اللهم صل صلاة كاملة وسلم سلاما تاما على سيدنا محمد الذي تنحل به العقد وتنفرج به الكرب وتقضى به الحوائج وتنال به الرغائب وحسن الخواتم ويستسقى الغمام بوجهه الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لمحة ونفس بعدد كل معلوم لك. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا وقلبا خاشعا ولسانا ذاكرا وشاكرا وتوبة نصوحا. رب يسر ولا تعسر، رب تمم بالخير، رب زدني علما وفهما وألحقنا بالصالحين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Respected brothers and very respected sisters, Jazakumullah khair jaza for joining us this Tuesday evening. Alhamdulillah, this is a new era for us, that we are, no matter where we are, Alhamdulillah, we are together to learn the basics of our deen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah into our learning. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our learning into a beneficial learning. Ilman nafi'a, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says. As per our program, as you know that we're going through the Munabbihaat of Ibn Hajar al-Asqalaani, rahimahullah, his little booklet called Munabbihaat al-Isti yawmi al-Aadi. We are on page 44, just for a little recall for some of us, inshallah, who were not here last week, that the very last thing that we've done was a little commentary on the ayah by the great alim Muhammad ibn Ahmad, rahimahullah, of the earlier era, where he makes a comment on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words in the Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَسَيِّدًا وَحَصُورًا وَنَبِيًّا مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. قال ذكر الله يحيى سيدا وهو عبده لأنه كان غالبا على 4 أشياء: على الهواء، على الإبليس، على اللسان، وعلى الغضب. Commenting on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's verse, the saying in the Quran, Surah Ali Imran, verse 39, then the angels called to him as he stood praying in the sanctuary, that Allah gives you the good news of Yahya, verifying a word from Allah, a Sayyid, master, a chaste man, and a prophet from amongst the righteous. This is the meaning of the full, complete verse, where Muhammad ibn Ahmad, rahimahullah, on making tafsir of this particular ayah, he comments, he says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described Prophet Yahya alayhi salam as a Sayyid, master, despite being his slave, because he had overpowered 4 things in his life. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions his Nabi Yahya alayhi salam as Sayyid, although that he was a servant first, but he calls him Sayyid first. And the reason for this, ulama say to us, especially this particular mufassir, he says he had full control over 4 things in his life. His hawa, and he was in control over his iblis, shaitan, and his lisan, his tongue, and his ghadab, his anger. This is what we went through last week. Briefly, hawa was our whims and wishes, the desires of our nafs al-ammar. where in one particular hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, ما تحت ظل السماء من إله يعبد من دون الله أعظم عند الله من هوى متبع صدق رسول الله فيما قال أو كما قال. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, under the shade of all these 7 heavens and the earth, there is not a single God who's been worshipped like Allah, although he's not a God, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, na'udhu billah, as people take it as God, commit shirk with to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, أعظم عند الله من هوى متبع. In other words, people take their whims and wishes, their own desires, almost like God. They obey their whims and wishes as if it is God. Na'udhu billah. So this is the most dangerous thing. If a person, this is the purpose of Islam, for us to control our nafsul ammara. If nafsul ammara is not under control, it is absolutely on self-destruct. If it's not properly controlled, it will ruin our dunya as well as our akhirah. It will ruin societies. It will ruin families. It will ruin their businesses. It will ruin the whole civilizations when the nafs is unchecked, uncontrolled. So, as a Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he was in full control of his hawa. Iblis, he was in control of. His lisan, his tongue, definitely he was control of. And his ghadab, anger, he was absolutely control of. We went through these and explained last week. Inshallah today, if bi'idhnillah ta'ala, if we have time, we will try to cover the sayings on the page 44 of our notes. Inshallah, if you're following the notes with you. So inshallah, I'll go through the first saying, then explain it to the best of my ability bi'idhnillah ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it a beneficial knowledge for us. Then inshallah, there is a hadith in the bottom of the same page. We will also explain that hadith. So this material is for this week inshallah. وعن علي كرم الله وجهه ورضي الله تعالى عنه قال. Ali كرم الله وجهه, may Allah ennoble his face and may Allah be well pleased with him. Why do we say كرم الله وجهه for Ali كرم الله وجه's name? Only Sahabi, only the him amongst all the companions, all of the Ashabi Kiram, we call him كرم الله وجهه. Our ulama, our scholars, tell us the reason why we call him is he accepted Islam as a child, the first one. In other words, as a child, he never and ever worshipped any idols in his life. He accepted Islam when he was pure. So, because he was pure and noble, so to speak, may Allah continue to ennoble his face. A special title given to Ali karramallahu wajha. Of course, we also say radiyallahu ta'ala an for the companions. May Allah be well pleased with them when we mention their names. So this is a saying, a beautiful saying, full of hikmah, full of wisdom from Sayyidina Ali karramallahu wajha. He says the following: لا يزال الدين والدنيا قائمين ما دام أربعة أشياء. Deen, the religion of Allah, and this world, this dunya, will continue to exist perfectly well, in harmony, as long as 4 things continue to exist. 4 things continue to exist in life, this dunya will continue in a very peaceful existence. 4 things. What are these things? ما دام الأغنياء لا يبخلون بما خولوا. As long as the rich are not miserly. Bakhil. Bukhul is, as you know, one of the diseases of nafs al-ammara. In that with which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have blessed them with. In other words, they do not become bakhil, stingy with the wealth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to them. In other words, they fulfill their obligations towards the Muslim Ummah. Our primary duty as a rich person is to pay zakat. Zakat is given from 22.5% of our total savings in a year, if a year passes over and that particular miqtar, that particular amount is above the nisab miqtar, we need to pay 2.5% of that particular wealth to the poor. This is zakat. Zakat does not belong to the rich, it belongs to the poor. Zakat is a cleanser, tazkiyah. We say, remember, we talk about purification of the nafs. Bismillah, qad aflaha man zakkaha. Zakkaha, the one who is successful is the one who purifies his soul, his nafs al-ammara. Similarly, a person who wants to purify his wealth from the filth is that zakat. He has to give that zakat to the poor, because that zakat that amount does not belong to him. It belongs to, it's the haqq and the right of the poor and the destitute in our community. We need to pay this. When our aghniya, when our rich ones, the wealthy ones, become stingy, stop paying their dues to the poor, the alms giving, we say, the zakat to the poor, the bala will come to them, both in this dunya and in the akhirah. And of course the balance within the society will be tipped. People no longer will receive any zakat from the community. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the rich, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ghadab will be on such people, so that community, the ummah, will be in strife again. As we know, my respected brothers and sisters, wealth is not something that we gain with our own hands. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who gives us wealth. A true Muslim believes that wealth is a trust from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our duty is to use that trust, that wealth, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen for us, to keep it and use it for a purpose, to test us. Then our duty is to become wise and understand the purpose of that wealth. We don't know what is good for us, whether it is poverty or wealth. Many people desire wealth, but we do not know. As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, do not wish for wealth all the time, because you do not know what is khair for you. Halaluhu hisabun, haramuhu adhabun. If you earned it from halal means, that you have it in your hand, mashallah, you did everything 100%, by the book, according to Sharia, not a single penny of haram entered into your earning, this will be a cause for reckoning on the day of judgment. Every single penny that you have earned, every single penny that you spent, will be questioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's halal, halaluhu hisabun. But if it's from a haram source, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, this will be a source, reason for adhabun, reason for you to be burnt in the fire of Jahannam, because you did not fulfill, you did not earn it from halal sources. One of the questions Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask us on the day of judgment, after our salat. The first thing is our salat towards Him. One of the second is after our umr, how we spent our lives, our youthhood and our lives. One of the other things, questions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask is, where did you earn your rizqi? Where did you earn your wealth? And how did you spend it? Without answering for every single penny on the day of judgment, you shall not be made to move from the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not even 1 inch, 1 step backwards. Impossible. Many people think that they own the wealth. They don't own the wealth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who owns the wealth. Your duty is to understand this reality, this mindset, and fulfill your duties and obligations to the community. There are some people who are rich, he can solve many people's problems. But because they're bakhil, they're suffering from this disease, they think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not give them, or they think erroneously that this is their own earning, therefore they will not get it again, therefore they hold back, they become tight-fisted. As a result, the community suffers. But a true Muslim, a Muslim who is switched on, whose heart is working, who understands where he came from, where he's going, he who understands the value of wealth thinks otherwise, differently, completely differently. Because in one particular hadith of Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا حسد إلا فتنتين. There are two people in Islam. You cannot make hasad. You cannot feel any envy towards anybody except for two persons. Except for two persons. Who are they, Ya Rasulullah? لا حسد إلا فتنتين. Who are they? رجل آتاه الله القرآن وفي رواية آخر في العلم فهو يقوم به آناء الليل وآناء النهار ورجل آتاه الله مالا فهو ينفقه آناء الليل وآناء النهار. Beautiful. This is the principle. Two persons, only two persons in Islam can be envied, but this is not the negative envy. This is not hasad. This is not the hasad. This is ghibta. In a different version of the same hadith, ghibta means yatamanna mithlahu. You wish to have the same thing. That's so that you can do the same things. You can do the same things. What are these two things? First, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala endowed a person with knowledge. Knowledge of Quran. He knows how to do Quran, what Quran is. He has knowledge, beneficial knowledge. And with this knowledge, he teaches people khair. He uses knowledge to guide himself and teaches people to be guided to the right path. He knows the value of the ilm. Therefore, he says this is the first type of person. That a person we should feel envious, admirable, feel admiration towards. The second type of person, as Rasulullah says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon that person wealth, mal. And with this particular mal, he knows how to use it to gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure day and night. If there is any need in the community, he's there first. Any project to be undertaken, he's there first. Any orphan, any single mother, any children, any school, anything to do with the Muslim Ummah where there is amal al-salihah, if there is sadaqah jariyah, they're at the forefront without even thinking about it. They're right there and they will immediately give. Because they know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given this wealth to them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who trusted the wealth to them, and their duty is to use it wisely, because on the day of judgment Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask this. He has no right to be bakhil with this money. He has no right to be stingy with this money, because stinginess is a disease of nafsul ammara. There is a hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, actually in Tirmidhi. It's a very long hadith. I am going to mention it because it is relevant to our case. In the meaning, not the whole Arabic, but I can give you the Arabic if you wish, but we just, for brevity, because a very long hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Bani Adam, the human beings are four type of nafar. There are four types amongst the Muslims. Amongst the Muslims, so to speak. The first category, he says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon this particular person ilm, knowledge, beneficial knowledge. At the same time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this person very rich, very wealthy. MashaAllah. He says he knows what to do with his wealth and he knows what to do with his knowledge. Every day, day and night, he is constantly pursuing projects to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make himself a better place in Jannah. He constantly uses this. This is a great ni'mah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, this particular maqam ahsanul hal. This is the best of positions. But Rasulullah says the second type of nafar, second category of people, is a person that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon him beneficial knowledge. MashaAllah, he is an alim, he is an arif, he is a salih, he is a person Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala poured that knowledge into ilm al-nafi'ah, into his heart. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give him any wealth. He's got no money. He could hardly feed himself or his family. Just enough. He's not complaining. He's got full rida about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qadar, the way it was given to him. But in his heart, he constantly wishes, dreams. He says, how I wish I was like my first brother. The brother who's wealthy as well as alim. As well as alim. Look at the way he spends in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I wish I had the same money, even more money, so I can do all those good a'mal al-salihah, good deeds that my brother is doing. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, when this person dies on the day of judgment, when his book is given to him from his right hand or from his front, he will see so many hasanat written in there. And he'll say, these are not mine. I haven't done any of those things. I haven't built a school. I haven't opened up a television station. I haven't opened up what you call university. I haven't opened up Quran for children. I did not open up orphanages. I did not. It's a whole list of things which he never did in his life. The malaika will say, this is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you because of your intention. You wanted to do these things. Because if you had the money, you would have done these things. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, this is also not too bad. This is very good. The third type of men, nafar, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, is a person that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon him so much wealth. So much wealth. He's got so much money. But he has no knowledge. He is jahil, ignorant. And he doesn't know what haram is, he doesn't know what halal is, he's got no consideration about what Allah, the prohibitions of Allah is. Therefore, this person, day and night, enjoys his dunya. He plans his life so well to maximize his enjoyment and fun in this dunya. He's so happy, but absolutely poor in terms of akhirah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, this is bad. However, the fourth one, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says at the end, this is akhbathul hal. The worst of all is the last person, where he is penniless, he's got no money, he's poor, and he has no knowledge. Nothing, he's jahil, as jahil can be, full on ignoramus. Then day and night he's dreaming also. What? Good things? No. He's dreaming that how he wished he had the money like the third person, so he can enjoy life and show him how to live life. He doesn't know how to live life. He can really enjoy this dunya so much so that he can be the best enjoyer of this world. All the sins that he is dreaming of doing, because with the money can't do anything. That's why people work day and night. People chase the mighty dollar, or the mighty dollar constantly, because money gives them the power to buy things, to buy the things that what their nafs al-ammara, what their hawa wants. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, when this person wakes up on the day of judgment and his book is given to him from the left hand side, and he will see so many ugly sins, so many ugly sins, and he will say, I haven't done any of this. Wallahi, I didn't do any of those things. I was just a poor person living in my village. There was nobody in that city. I was nothing. I could hardly make ends meet. I did not even have the means to feed my children. How come I have all these sins? The malaika will say, this was where your heart was constantly day and night. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you, because this was your intention. This was your intention. This is what you carried all your life. All your life, this particular dream. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you what you deserve. In Islam, we do not know what is khair for us. Wealth or no wealth. But if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon us wealth, our duty is to be intelligent, be smart, and use that wealth to our advantage, to our akhirah. One of our mashayikh, Ahmed Gumush Khanawi, rahmatullah ta'ala alayh, during the time of the last period of the Ottomans, he was going to perhaps Hajj or Umrah with some of his murids, large following, because he was such a high caliber alim, faqih, muhaddith of his time, that people all over the Muslim lands, from Egypt to Syria to Iraq, they respected him so much. They respect him so much. So, because he was also the sheikh of a tariqah, of a tasawwuf order, so as soon as he comes, passes through some lands, some villages, some cities, they flock to him and they want to join to his tariqah because he is a true sheikh. And the methodology is you make bay'ah to him. You put your hand, and like you promised to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you promise to the wakil, you promise to the warathatul anbiya, the representative of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that you will obey your deen, you will obey Islam, you will try to purify your nafs al-ammara, you will give up your old ways, you will make tawbah and become sincere Muslim. You make promise to him. That's called bay'ah. So everybody, after making bay'ah, the shaykh usually gives them certain prescriptions, like daily awrad, daily dhikr. It's called wird, as the majority of us know. Certain amount of tasbih that you have to say, certain amount of la ilaha illallah you have to say, certain amount of qul huwa Allahu ahad with bismillah you have to read, certain amount of salawat you have to, salawat al-sharifa you have to say, etc., etc. So everybody who comes and joins, they get some gift. This is called wird, a duty. Amongst that group, amongst the ashraf, amongst the so-called nobles, elite, rich of that locality, they also made bay'ah to the sheikh, and they're in the queue, and they said, Ya sheikh, one of them said, what is my duty? What do I get for my tasbih? Please, I need my tasbih. You know how the finger works in tasbih like this? The sheikh says, your tasbih is not like this. Your tasbih is like this. Your tasbih is the give to the poor. Allah has given to you, you need to attend to the needs of the poor, the destitute. You share what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you. True wealth is in the heart. Qana'ah, being content with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what He has given to you, is the greatest gift, greatest richness. But some people, as we say, as they are given wealth, riches in this world, and if they fulfill their obligations, this is the first guarantor that the justice and the peace and tranquility and the balance, the equilibrium of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set in His law in this earth will continue to be maintained. The first thing. In other words, the aghniya should not become bakhil, should not become bakhil with their money, should not become stingy with their money. They should share. Not only what you call just the zakat, but also other forms of sadaqat they should give. We are in the month of Rajab, it's almost over. Many of our rich people in the olden days, when they switched on, when they understood this hadith properly, and many other hadith in this regard, they would immediately shut shop, month of Rajab and Sha'ban and Ramadan, shut shop, in other words for themselves, get somebody else to work in there. They will make intention and go to i'tikaf in the masjid, and for the next 2 months they will not come out. They want to gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. If they cannot, because of their busyness, because of their so many other commitments, if they cannot, they will get somebody else, employ somebody else to do i'tikaf on their behalf. How can you do this? You can do this with money. A rich person can send a person on his behalf to Hajj every year if he wants to. one of my greatest heroes. Our Sheikh used to say that it was his greatest hero too, which is, that's why he's my greatest hero. One of the greatest heroes is Abdullah ibn Mubarak, radiallahu anh. Great alim, mashallah, such a person of valor. He used to fight like a real mujahid. He was the best swordsman of his time. He was one of the biggest alim, greatest alim of his time. And he was one of the richest person on his time. Three things. He's the mujahid, he's the alim, and he's the rich person. Subhanallah. What a combination. He used to spend some of his time at the frontiers to do jihad. He'll go 1 year for jihad, 6 months. He'll fight like it's the lion. And 1 year he will go to Hajj. He's got the money. And 1 year he will spend in learning and teaching to others. Three things. One time a group of Muslims in the locality, in their city, they said, Ya Shaykh, please, 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 we know that you're going to Hajj this year. We want to come to Hajj with you. He said, okay, if you want to come to Hajj with me, okay, how many of you coming? 300 of them. We're leaving at that such and such day, get ready. But one condition, you bring all your money and give it to my cashier, the treasury person who looks after my finances. And because we want to spend from one purse for barakah, if whatever money you know, he will take it for you, write it down for you. And if you need money for any of your expenses during the course of your journey and back and during Hajj also, you go and ask him and he will keep it a tab for you, running tab. They said, okay, that's the only condition. So they all gave their money to the treasury, the cashier. And the journey started. 2 months all the way to Hajj, another month in Hajj, and another 2 months coming back. How many? 2, 4, 5 months, 6 months of journey. Every day eating together. Oh, mashallah, they've got a full set of chefs and they're preparing food. And mashallah, when they after Hajj, they bought some gifts from Hajj so they can bring it to a family. Every time they want to have money, they go and ask the treasurer, and the treasurer gives them money. Done. You know what happened? Right at the last stop before they reached their homes, in the last break they had, he said to them, now please go back to the treasurer, my treasurer, and collect the balances of your money, because we want to make sure that everything is halal. Nobody gets anything extra or anything as such. So you make sure. He goes, everybody goes, one by one, 300 of them, and they ask for their money. He says, what's your name? Your number, mashallah. He opens up the purse, big purse, and as they put it, their own original money, with their own string, unopened, he returns back to them. This is your money? This is your bag? Yeah, but I spent all my money. No, you didn't. Everything was paid by the Shaykh. Look at the rich person. Everybody's Hajj, all the expenses for 300 people, for 6 months almost he paid. That's what richness is. When a person understands the value of spending in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala returns that favor to him by in multiples, بِغَيْرِ حِسَاب, without any amount, he gives in such manner. How rich Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, because they know that the source of that wealth is Allah. Allah is the one who gave it to them in the first place. Allah will continue to give it to them if they do the right things. But when the rich person believes that this is his own doing, he feels bakhil, he feels stingy, because he thinks that this is his own, what he call earning with his own hands. This is not true. Allah is the one who gave you that intelligence to earn that money. Allah is the one who gave that wealth to earn that money. Many people that I know of, they want to get up early in the morning to go to work, and they can't get up because they've got a back problem. And many people get in the car to go to work, they end up in the hospital because they have a heart attack. Who is the one who gives you everything? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our duty is to acknowledge and give what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us, to the poor. Look after the poor. Second statement of Imam Ali karramallahu wajhah, وَمَا دَامَ الْعُلَمَاءُ يَعْمَلُونَ بِمَا عَمِلُوا. This dunya and the deen will continue to exist as long as the scholars practice what they have learned. The ulama put into practice what they have learned. Preach, not only preaching, practice what they preach. There is an ayah in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, lima taquluna ma la taf'alun, kabura maqtan 'inda Allah an taqulu ma la taf'alun. O you who believe, why do you say things which you do not practice yourself? Verily, which makes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala maqtan. In Arabic, the word anger. In English language, you don't have it much of a variance. But in Arabic, what you call ghadab is one thing. Maqt is something that is really furious. What makes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really angry, His wrath really reaches to the limit, when He sees a person does not practice what he says to others to practice. He commands others to practice where he himself does not practice. There is a hadith of Prophet ﷺ, Sahih hadith, where he also says, on the day of judgment, who shall receive the severest of all punishment? On the day of judgment is the scholar who did not benefit from his own knowledge. What do you mean? Who did not practice what he was saying other people to practice. He was telling people not to lie, and he was lying himself. He was asking people to do ibadah, he was not doing ibadah himself. He was asking people to have ikhlas, he was not having ikhlas himself. He was telling people what to do, and he was really illuminating the path of people, and yet he himself was not doing any of those. This what really makes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala angry. When the ulama continue to practice what they preach, this dunya will continue to be peaceful. This is the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, we will have lots of information storage devices of organic type, like a computer. Computer is an information storage device. Hard disk, we call it. And we measure it in gigabytes and nanobytes. How about a person, a human being, who just stores in information, dry information? What benefit? And he does not benefit from himself. The computer doesn't benefit from the information it has. Computer doesn't even know. The purpose of knowledge is for a person to internalize that particular knowledge into the heart so that it changes your behavior. In Islam, we seek knowledge purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His rida, to be beneficial to others. We never acquire knowledge to get into polemics with other scholars, or to prove our superiority to the people who are less than us, or to seek attention of other people. Knowledge is sought for internal change, the heart change. Knowledge is supposed to bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Man izdada ilman, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, again from Ali karramallahu wajhah, whose knowledge is in the increase, whose knowledge is in the increase, and yet his zuhd, his attachment to this world is not in decrease. His worldliness is not decreasing. He says this particular knowledge will serve only one thing. That is to put a distance between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Knowledge has a purpose. Useless information is not what we want. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. Knowledge, when it enters into your heart, when you acquire it properly, when you have alim, you have the highest degree after the prophets. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهِ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. For verily, the only people truly fear Allah are the ulama, not the information storage devices. If you want knowledge, there's plenty of knowledge with Sheikh Google. Just type it in, it gives you all the information. But that's not knowledge. Knowledge is what is here. Knowledge is not this. Knowledge is here. Al-ilmu ilman, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says. There are two types of knowledge. Ilmun fil lisan, ilmun fil qalb. One is on the tongue and one is in the heart. The one in the heart, ilman nafi'a, beneficial knowledge. This is the best for you. That's why he asks, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a. Oh Allah, please bless me with beneficial knowledge. Oh Allah, please bless us with beneficial knowledge. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a wa qalban khashi'a. When the beneficial knowledge enters into the heart, result is fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If the knowledge is not in the heart, then you'll never fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Impossible. Impossible. وَعَمَلًا مُتَقَبَّلًا. You will never have ikhlas, to have a sincere action, good deed where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts. Impossible. The second type of knowledge, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, is on the tongue. Tongue is fil lisan. And this will be used as a hujjah, as a dalil, a proof against the son of Adam on the day of judgment. Knowing something does not get you off the hook, even if it's a dry information. If it's not practiced properly, if it's not applied properly, if it's abused, not used properly, it is a responsibility. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inshallah put some sense into our ulama, as scholars, where we see them as role models. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala correct their lives, and instead of rubbing shoulders with the politicians and the dunya, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala change our hearts. The ones who are off the rails. Of course, there are many ulama, mashallah, who are symbols, we feel so honored and humbled in their presence. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase their number, because they have the true ilm. We call them ulama al-haqq. Of course, this is referring to the so-called scholars of this world, scholars who use the religion for their advantage, but absolutely to get the attention of the people, to rub shoulders with the so-called politicians and the governments, so they can get to a position and so they can increase their wealth, and their hearts are completely empty. When Abdulaziz Bakkina, Qaddasallahu Sirrahul Aziz, two sheikhs before, at the age of 17 he came from Kazan, and he was looking for a sheikh. They said to him in Istanbul, go and see one particular sheikh, and he is really good, he's in big masjid. You go and inshallah make bay'ah to him and he will take care of you. He says, okay. He goes. He secretly sits behind, as soon as he enters into the masjid, in one of the pillars. He just secretly sits, and the sheikh is right sitting after Asr in the corner. He connects his heart to his heart. He's thinking, the spiritual connection. In other words, he opens up his Bluetooth. He opens up his Bluetooth and tries to receive from him what's coming through him. Okay? That's what he does. You understand? It's called muraqab. This is called rabita, connection with the Shaykh. You can do it. But how can it be possible? There's no Bluetooth. Bluetooth this side. Possible. Possible. Trust me, it's possible. He puts his heart and connects. Try to listen to. Let's see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings from his Bluetooth to my Bluetooth. And a few minutes later, true enough, he begins to hear the words coming out of the heart of the Shaykh. Money, 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 money. Ya Latif, he opens up. He says, what? Astaghfirullah Azim. He just leaves the masjid. Didn't even come close to the Shaykh. That particular so-called Shaykh's ilm was not benefiting his heart. His heart was attached to the dunya. And he was not actually, he was just preaching, not practicing himself. His own knowledge was not benefiting him. The most dangerous state. أشد الناس عذابا يوم القيامة. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, the person who will receive the worst form of punishment on the day of judgment, an alim who did not benefit from his own knowledge. So we need to be careful. Knowledge is not sought for any other reason except to come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except to facilitate this tazkiyatun nafs, except to facilitate this connection called yaqeen to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except to increase our ikhlas and sincerity towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except to understand who we are, our duties and obligations towards Allah, our deen, our book, our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Muslimin around us, and live a life guided fully with that particular knowledge. Knowledge is a light. Knowledge is a nur that is thrust into the heart of a mu'min so that it leads him to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Knowledge is called path to Jannah, pathways of the Jannah. How can you find Jannah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Jannah with dry information? That's impossible. Dry information. So this is a warning for the ulama in that regard. The third statement of Ali karramallahu wajha is وَمَا دَامَ الْجُهَلَاءُ لَا يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ عَمَّا لَمْ يَعْلَمُوا. And as long as this dunya and the deen will continue to exist peacefully, as you know, it will last for long years to come, centuries to come, also as long as the juhala, the ignorant ones of this ummah, are not arrogant about which they do not know. They go and ask, they go and sit down, they go and humble themselves and learn. The worst form of ignorance is when a person thinks that he knows and yet he doesn't know anything. The jahala here is not the jahala of schooling. A person might go to a university, do his masters, even PhD, even 3 universities. He could be a very enlightened person in the field that he is in, but he could be the worst jahil on earth if he doesn't know his ghaya, purpose for his existence, purpose for his creation, his obligations and duties to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if he thinks that because he's intellectual, he's academic, he's got 2 degrees and 3 degrees, he cannot sit next to an alim, a scholar, and learn the basics of his deen, this is the danger. This is real jahala. Absolute jahala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. This is wajib, compulsory. If you do not know, go and ask those people, ulama, who know. Asking, learning about your deen, it's not aib. It's not a shame. Okay, you missed the boat, you didn't learn. You were not in the right environment. Why not now? Oh, I can't sit in the company. I can't sit in the company. Imam Muslim, radiallahu anhu, he was much older than Imam Bukhari. When he met him first time, when he realized the knowledge of Imam Bukhari was higher than him, he became his student. He never said, oh, who do you think he is? He's my little kid. No. Beneficial knowledge, there is no age limit. The important thing is that we get that hawa, nafsul ammara, come down a little bit. Come down a little bit and humble ourselves and sit and learn from the ulama al-haq. This will not belittle you. This will give you the sharaf, nobility, which will make you understand who you are. If you do not do this, you shall be always one of those ignoramuses that will cause havoc within our community. Half-baked truths. What you have heard from your grandmother, grandfather, some newspaper cutting or something else, you think that you know. Recently, Jama'ah has published a beautiful anime. What do you call animation? A tourist comes to the Blue Mosque, Sultan Ahmed, in Istanbul. This is in the animation, by the way. And she is just a tourist. And she hears the Imam leading the Salat. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Beautiful voice. She says, what is this mysterious, beautiful, mystical voice? What does this mean? She goes and asks everybody outside who are making wudu and getting ready and who are outside. They said, yeah, he's reading Fatiha. Oh, it's Alhamdu. But what does it mean? They said, I don't know. What does Alhamdu means? What? The people ask. And the guy is one of the persons she asks is a professor in his university teaching. He says, I became a professor in my field. I do not even know, although I pray 5 times a day, I don't even know the meaning of Fatiha. This is ignorance. So you need to learn, open up and learn. If you persist on your ignorance, then we're in trouble. I say this not as a na'udhu boasting. هذا من فضل ربي. I used to have 2 Arabic teachers, Arabic language teachers. Used to my Arabic language teacher outside the class, some of the class, they used to come to my tajweed classes. Tajweed classes and learn. And they say, you're an Arab. And the teacher's a Turk. He's not an Arab. How can you learn something from him? They say, Arabic language is one thing, ilm tajweed is something else. Therefore we came here to learn, because he has that knowledge. By sitting here and learning does not belittle us, does not humiliate us or humiliate us. Of course, this is knowledge, beneficial knowledge, inshallah ta'ala. So as long as our youth, as long as the Muslims in particular, who missed the boat on learning the religious knowledge, is not shamed and stubborn in coming and learning, inshallah ta'ala, everything will be okay. But the moment if they feel shy and they shun themselves and they do wrong haram stuff afterwards, and because of arrogance they don't go and ask the muftis and the ulama and the mashayikh, then they're in trouble. This is big sign. Big sign. There is no age for learning. From cradle to the grave. One of my favorite students, now even, mashallah, he teaches so many other students. I have seen, I know. He never knew how to say even Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim with what do you call? A recitation. He didn't know what alif was until the age of 53. But now he's teaching. So, alhamdulillah, he learned Quran at the age of 53. You never miss the boat. You can use it anytime. You can start up anytime. There is nothing wrong. And the fourth statement of Imam Ali karramallahu wajhah, وَمَا دَامَ الْفُقَرَاءُ لَا يَبِيعُونَ آخِرَتَهُمْ بِدُنْيَاهُمْ. This deen and dunya will continue to exist as long as four things continue to exist. One of the fourth one is as long as the poor do not sell the hereafter in return for the dunya. This is very dangerous. As long as the poor people do not sell their hereafter in return for the dunya. The other day I was speaking to a doctor friend of mine. He told me an incident. He says back in Turkey, in Ramadan, mashallah, many of the young Haafiz students, at school, maybe they're still doing university, they pay their way through the university. They came to him, a group of them, they said, brother, we know that you're a practicing Muslim doctor. Yeah, okay. He says, can you give us a, this is right in the middle of school here, Ramadan, we want to go to certain villages where we're going to lead the Taraweeh with Khatim so that they can pay us money. They can pay us money so that with that money we have some spending money too for pay for us some of our fees at school. The doctor is a switched on person. He said, brother, you're asking me to first lie to you. And secondly, you want to use the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's recitation of Quran, and you want to get money for this one? And you want to sell your deen for dunya? And you want to use it for your schooling? He says, I can't do this. Ask me anything else, but not this one. This is not allowed. The other day, in Medina, not the other day, last year, Medina, some lady, she's sitting right at the entrance of the masjid, she's reading some Quran. And the security guards, the police straight away came and says, Yalla, yalla, imshi, yalla, 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 go. And we asked why she's only reading Quran. She says, no, she's not interested in reading Quran. She wants to beg for money. She wants to read Quran for money. In other words, she's trying to sell the deen for dunya. Deen for dunya. Unfortunately, this is a case for some people. There are some people who are professionally trained muqri, reciters. They sign contracts. I want $2 million if I come to your country and recite for you with my beautiful voice. And if I do this, I'm going to get this money. What are we doing? What are you selling? Now, ulama say, even acceptance of money for teaching Quran is not allowed. Except in the case, the fatwa is given, except in the case where if that particular teacher is the only teacher, and if he does not teach, nobody's going to learn. If he goes and gets another job, he's going to look after his family. Okay, well and good. He's going to drive taxis or make kebabs or work in a caravan, whatever the case is. Okay, but instead, if he were to sit here and teach our children would learn Quran. And if he were to get money to feed his family because he's got no other source of income except this, he says this is permissible. Because if he doesn't do this, if he doesn't get money, he can't teach. And if he doesn't teach and get money, he can't feed his family. So in this case, the fatwa is given. Otherwise, we need to be extremely careful with what we do with our deen. We need to check our sincerity, ikhlas. We should not cross our wires. We need to make, Allah is the one who provides. We don't choose poverty. We don't choose to be rich. He's the one who gives. Rizqi is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He closes one door, He opens up another. You can never and ever leave this dunya until you completely deplete all of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised you in this dunya in terms of what goes into your tummy, rizqi, without finishing the last drop of bread, last morsel of bread, last morsel of rice, last morsel of the drop of water. Without finishing this, you will never be able to leave this world. Simple as this. There is one particular hadith of Rasulullah sallam in this regard, inshallah, related to our topic. I will just read this hadith and inshallah we will conclude and wrap it up. One day Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came into the masjid and said to his companions, كيف أصبحتم? Any of the ordinary day in the city of Medina, in the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam after Fajr, he said to some of his companions, they were sitting together, كيف أصبحتم? How are you this morning? How are you this morning? فقالوا, and they said, أصبحنا مؤمنا بالله. We reached the morning, Ya Rasulullah, in this morning as believers in Allah, as mu'minun, alhamdulillah. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked next question. وَمَا عَلَامَةُ إِيمَانِكُمْ? What is the sign? What is the proof? What is the alama of your iman? You say that you have reached the morning, and mashallah, as mu'minun, but tell me, what is the evidence? What's the alama? What's the sign of your iman? They said 4 things. Actually 3 things. قالوا نصبر على البلاء ونشكر على الرخاء ونرضى بالقضاء. 3 things. We are absolutely patient in times of hardship, any form of hardship, poverty, stress, bala, affliction of any kind. We are sabiri. And وَنَشْكُرُ عَلَى الرَّخَاء. When the things are going our way, alhamdulillah, we always make shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shukr ya Rabbi, shukr Allah, shukr ya Allah, constantly. In times of hardship, sabr. And everything's going your way, you make shukr. The last bit, وَنَرْضَى بِالْقَضَاءِ. And we are absolutely content with whatever has been predestined for us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our qadar and qadar. Allah create me poor. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give me wealth. Alhamdulillah. Allah created my skin black or yellow or pink. Alhamdulillah. Allah took my hair away. I am baldy at the moment. Alhamdulillah. Allah gave me children. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, Allah gave me a wife. Alhamdulillah. I never got married. Alhamdulillah. Couldn't get married. Alhamdulillah. I have 1 leg. Alhamdulillah. 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 This is full contentment, rida, with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you in terms of qadr. So, being poor or rich is irrelevant when you look at it from this perspective. Because a Muslim is a person in his mindset, he is 100% sure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows exactly what's happening in your heart right now. What problems that you're going through right now. What difficulties that you're going through right now. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gets other people around you to affect you right now. But He is constantly testing you. What kind of what kind of state of mind you're going to have towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillah. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. Allah is the one who created life and death to test each and every one of you. How do you behave towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Every difficulty, Allah is the one who gives you. Every ease, Allah is the one who gives you. Every test, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who gives you. Poverty, richness, wealth, raha, health. You're not in charge of anything. Absolutely anything. You're not controlling anything. Your heart beats on its own. Your blood circulates on its own. Your liver functions on its own. Your eye sees on its own. You don't do anything. It's all His doing. Your duty is to understand this and continue. In times of difficulty, make sabr. In times of good times, you make shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and accept what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you. Why am I poor? Everybody has, all my friends who went to the same school with me, they've got their degrees, they are successful. Look at them, they're millionaires. They made so much money, I can't even pay my rent. Well, who chooses for you? Allah is the one. Some people cannot even sign their names. The money is coming out of their ears and pockets, just coming out. And the other person finishes 2 universities, cannot even pay his rent. How? How does this work? I don't know. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the qadr. So we do not fall into the trap of shaitan alayhi lana, where we feel resentment towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then it affects our heart, it affects our iman, it affects the way we practice Islam. And when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard these sayings from the companions, he said, "Antum mu'minuna haqqan wa rabbil Kaaba." He says, I swear by the Lord of Kaaba, Rabb of Kaaba, you are indeed, truly, mu'minun. This is the definition of true mu'min. Our duty is to become a true mu'min. Our duty is to be happy with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you. We did not choose our children. We did not choose our parents. We did not choose our friends. We did not choose our environment. We did not choose our nationality. We did not choose where we are. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who chooses for us constantly. All the difficulties we did not choose. We did not even choose to come to this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who chose for us. Our duty is to understand this and make the best of it. Because this life, this prison, Sijn al-Muslim, okay, another 50, 60 years you're going to go through this. Then what? You're free. If you have passed your test. Otherwise, this Sijn in the worst possible manner, and this prison in the worst possible manner is going to continue in the hereafter. Because of your mindset, because of your heart. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our beneficial knowledge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our yaqeen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our a'mal al-salihah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our shortcomings. In this holy month of Rajab, which we are almost at the end of it, Sha'ban is about to start. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to make the dua, Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. Oh Allah, please bless the months of Rajab and Sha'ban for us, and let us reach into the month of Ramadan with safety, so that we reap the benefits of Ramadan also. Ya Rahman Rahimeen, please increase our a'mal al-salihah, increase our beneficial knowledge. Ya Rabbil Alameen, make us of the mukhlasoon, inshallah. Ya Rabbil Alameen, if richness, wealth is good for us, please give us, so that we can use it in your path. If it's no good for us, please keep away from us. Oh Allah, please help us to purify our nafs, or get rid of all this bukhul and stinginess and jahala from our heart, and insistence on sin, and delaying our tawbah, and the ghafla itself. Ya Rabbi, please help us. Show us what is the right path, and enable us to give us the strength to follow that right path. Allahumma arina haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'a wa arina batila batilan warzuqna ijtinaba. Oh Allah, please also show us at the same time the mistakes and the wrongs of our nafs al-ammara, so inshallah we can also show us the way to understand it correctly, and so that give us the strength to fight with it, so that we won't fall into batil and haram and the wrong ways. Ya Rabbil Alameen. be pleased with us. Let your Nabi be pleased with us, Ya Rabbil Alameen. We want to live as Muslims. We want to die as Muslims. We want to reach you and bring you a qalbun salim. To you, we want to present it to you, Ya Rabbi. That's our intention. We want to gain your rida, Ya Rabbil Alameen. We all make mistakes. We fall in our faces. We do wrong things, sometimes intentionally, sometimes weakness of our nafs. We do make mistakes constantly. Ya Rabbi, please help us. You are Arhamur Rahimin. You are Sattarul Uyub, Ghafarul Dhunub, Arhamur Rahimin. You are the most forgiving, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Please show us the path. Increase our muhabbat towards one another. Increase our ukhuwah towards one another. Increase our jama'ah. Increase the number of jama'ah that we have in this masjid. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Increase, put barakah into our learning, barakah into our jama'ah. Ya Rabbi, protect us from all form of fitan, from inner or outer, from dunya or any other way. Ya Rabbi, make us of the mukhlasoon. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. I haven't had the chance to go through the second hadith of that page. Inshallah, for next Tuesday we will go through this, and please make dua for me also, and our duas are with you. جزاكم الله خير الجزاء لله تعالى الفاتحة. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد.